coming
when
up.
you ask them, hey, how was your day? Fine.
Yeah.
What did you do? Nothing. And so how do you have conversations, and how do you lead them, and how do you guide them and mentor them? I think. All right, everybody. So Kristi Maggio in the house. She's an awesome member of Movement Makers. She's been with us now for over a year, and as part of that, we're doing an interview together. So she's going to interview me. She's had some questions on her mind, and
Are
this is it.
you
Take it
ready?
away, Kristi.
Yeah, there's certain things that I've meant to ask you from about your website, and your story's on your website and since the beginning. So like at the top, you say it's not your fault, right? And so my first question is, like, you throughout school were, struggled, you went through 3 different schools, had challenges, and you said is one of the things is, like, it's not your fault. Society, you've been limited. People tell you what to do, what to be realistic. At what point do you think that adults start telling young people that don't dream big anymore? It's not be realistic type thing. A couple of the things that you had said on there, and why do you think that is?
Yeah, what a start. And I know you do a lot of work with kids, so this is a great kind of theme into it. Honestly, I think it's even before they say anything. I think if you ask a parent who's got a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old, and the kid wants to go and be a whatever, I think when they're really young, the parents we're usually pretty encouraging. Like, yeah, you can go do anything you want. And they have to take it more seriously once they're looking at university and college, like graduating high school, and like what courses you're going to pick. But I think even more than the words that people say is the actions that they're doing. And so if you have a 6-year-old at home and you're teaching her to go and do whatever you want and you could be X, Y, Z, but then you're not living it yourself, I think the actions speak a lot louder than the words. And so a lot of parents, I think, are not off. Just most people are not living the life that they want. Most people are not chasing down. They've got goals, they've got aspirations, they've got dreams, and they're not taking the steps to do it. And so you can say something to your kid, but if you're then not off demonstrating and improving it, I think your kids are much more likely to see how you act as opposed to listen to what you're saying. And so then the challenge becomes, okay, what would, if you won't do it for yourself, for the parents out there, if you won't do it for yourself, do it for your kids, because they're watching you.
So true. Because, obviously, even with adults, we lead by action. We are the example of what young people look up to. And then when they see, especially their parents, what they do you incorporate your son in a lot of what you do in your business?
Only what he wants. I think like the best part about my parents is they always gave us the freedom to do whatever we wanted to go chase down. There was expectations that we would do something, but not expectations to do something specific, right? So like we had to go chase down goals and learn and improve. But all 3 of us, I have 2 sisters, went to go do different crazy things. And so with my son, people ask me, do you expect him to be an entrepreneur? It's like, no.
Right.
What does he want to do? Right now he's doing he's turning 13 in a couple weeks, and just looking at the date, turning 13, so I'm gonna have a teenager soon, and he's in his big things are acting and Minecraft. And we had some entrepreneur stuff, like we had him do lemonade stand, and went to my dance studio and he was selling lemonade outside there. And maybe entrepreneurship comes back in some way. For making videos, sometimes he wants to be part of it, sometimes he doesn't. So it's like you basically make it, what are you interested in? Because when you care about something, you're much more likely to learn. And so he loves acting and he loves Minecraft. So on our last school break, I took him to California and we went to Hollywood. And I don't care about Hollywood, but we went to Hollywood to show him the Hollywood Walk of Fame and to take him through. The highlight was the Universal Studios kind of behind the scenes studio tour, because at least right now, that's what he's into. He's 13. don't have to have him know what he wants
How
to
do
do for
you
the rest of his life.
introduce new things to him, right? Because we see a lot of young people who are saying, I don't want to do that because I don't like it. Yet they've never actually tried it, right? So how do you feel that it's a good way to introduce something new, because you wouldn't necessarily know about it or not had their parent not, or an adult not introduced it to them?
I think kids are being exposed to way more new things than what we as parents.
That's true.
Like just from what they watch on YouTube. They're exposed to. I'm asking my son and my nieces and nephews for like new things to do. Right? What new videos are you watching? What new music should I listen to? What new things are trending? I'm asking them for what's new, as opposed to me teaching them what's new. I think the key thing is listening, being involved in their lives and the things that they care about, as opposed to the things that you might want them to care about. So instead of forcing my son to go learn piano or trumpet or something, he really cares about Minecraft. He got into it, and so I joined him on Minecraft. I suck at Minecraft. I didn't know the first time I played Minecraft, I dug myself into a hole and couldn't figure out how to get out. Like, this game is stupid. but I learned and I got better and I improved, and there's a lot of creativity in Minecraft that if I didn't know what it was, it's easy to judge it as just a waste of time or another video game or something. And so because he's interested in it, we spend time. Like, it's hard, kids don't want to just sit down and talk about their life. I guess at least when you're 13 years old, 12 years old, right? Maybe when they're older, we'll see. But they don't want to just sit down and when you ask them, hey, how was your day? Fine.
Yeah.
What did you do? Nothing. And so how do you have conversations, and how do you lead them, and how do you guide them and mentor them? I think it's through shared activities, shared experiences. So if you want to show bouncing back after failure, if I'm playing Minecraft and I got my full netherite gear, which is hard to get, and then I die and I lose all of it, right? And I'm starting over. Then what happens? Do I rage quit? Do I yell at my computer? Do I blame the creeper that blew me up, right? Or say, okay, that sucks.
Yeah.
Deep breath. We're starting over, right? And that is demonstrating the life lessons. I think you could teach life lessons through anything. And if they actually care about that thing, then now I'm demonstrating how to be an adult, I guess, as opposed to having to be through the things that I learned through. So I don't have to teach through entrepreneurship or through books or through piano. Teach it through the things that they actually care about. We're looking at trying to do one of the things that I loved about my mom is every year she took one of the three of us to something that we cared about. And so when she took me, it was to Dunedin, Florida, to go to spring training, Toronto Blue Jays, because you get to meet the players in the parking lot and see them. I love baseball, and she kind of cared about baseball, but it wasn't really her thing; it was my thing. So we're looking at how do we do that for my son, but also for my nieces and nephews. They lost their mom a year and a half ago, and my wife has kind of become the pseudo mom, and so they're a lot more than just nieces and nephews now. And so we're looking at what's one thing that I could take them to every year and just be about them. So my niece just turned 16 and she loves anime. I know nothing about anime, zero about anime. But I'm researching when are the anime conferences and conventions coming up. There's one coming up in LA, and I'm going to talk to her this weekend, and maybe that becomes a thing that I take her to. And let's go spend 3 days in LA at the anime conference, and I'll get into it. Maybe I'm dressing up, maybe I'm standing in line waiting to do a selfie with whoever famous person is, and it's not about me, it's about the experience with her. And on that, trying to sit down and talk to her about life is challenging, but when you experience a trip together and we're spending 3 days, it's just me and her for 3 days doing something she cares about, there'll be lots of opportunities for connection and understanding and listening and life lessons inside of that.
For sure. For sure.
So yeah, actually caring and being interested in the things that they're interested in, as opposed to the things that you
So
want
true.
to teach them.
I love that. So you like I mentioned before, you had said that you were slow. You found it difficult a little bit. School. You went to 3 different schools. You had trouble making friends from time to time, and you weren't getting the extra attention that you needed. A lot of times, there's a lot of young people today that feel that way. And so a lot of teachers, and I have been one that included, had said, they just have difficulty learning. However, we know from you, Jim Quick, many other people, young kids, it was just the way that they were learning that was difficult for them. What do you think is a good way for teachers, education, instruction to happen today that what you think would have made a difference if it was a little bit different when you were in school?
Well, one, I had an undiagnosed hearing problem, and it led me to, I would sit under my desk in class during school. Like, the teacher would be teaching something, and I don't remember this anymore, but this is what my parents did. I would sit under the desk at school. Instead of sitting in my chair, I would sit under the desk at school and not pay attention. And they thought I was ignoring them or a bad student, and really I just couldn't hear anything. And so instead of sitting there feeling dumb, I tried to do something on my own. I think that is a challenge in that teachers have so many kids in a classroom, and to spend individual time with everybody becomes, challenging. But it's, on the parents too. Then internet didn't exist when that was me.
Right.
At however old now you can. So maybe they have actually something physically wrong or emotionally wrong or something going on at home that it's not actually a learning problem. It's just they're stressed out, or they have a physical problem that needs to be solved. The second would be, and I mean, again, just for that, it's creating a safe space and taking the time to actually care. I tell the story of Madame Farr, who was my teacher, mentor, my last year of high school. And I went from being a B and C student to a straight 90s student after meeting her once a week. I was the same person, it was just that extra support and belief in having somebody to help me was great. And then second is just understanding how you learn. So auditory is the worst way for me. I like to learn by seeing something, and I like to learn with having somebody kind of guide me. And so my whole history of feeling like a dummy and stupid and can't learn was really, I just can't learn that way. I need to have a guide. And when I have a guide and I can actually see it, I'm actually a great learner. But I didn't understand that until I was in my 20s. So, that's, if we can learn that earlier, I think it'd be a great gift that we can give.
I agree with you in that sense. I think that that's one of the biggest issues today with education. And, yes, there's a lot of different kids in the class, but, it's still, the system itself is still that one-track system that only works for 1/3 of kids. And so, it's interesting to hear that, because it's really just an alteration of how the material is presented or how you learn that would have made such a big difference. Now, going to piggyback on you were assigned Madame Farr, Miss Farr, Madame Farr, and she was your mentor in grade 12, right? And she made you believe in yourself. You were just like, oh my gosh, you said you had got straight A's, and it made all the difference. Why do you think, what do you think would have happened had you been assigned a mentor in grade 9?
Yeah, it would have made all the difference in the world. And I think when I moved between Madame Farr and Mrs. Farr, because I called her Madame Farr, but most people don't understand what
was
that means.
Was she a French teacher?
We try to say Mrs. Farr sometimes, but yeah, she was my French teacher. And I went to a French immersion school That was the third school that I went, the second school that I went to before transferring to my final school for high school. And I was just way ahead in French because I went to French immersion, and now I went to regular school, and French was easy. So I was in class with people who were like 3 years my age, and roasting them on all the tests and exams, and it was super easy. Not because I was smart, but just because I was in such an intensive program that this was easy stuff that they were learning. So I built a little bit of a bond with her because she was my teacher there, and I think she felt bad for me being kind of picked on because I'm with people who are 2-3 years older than me, and I'm destroying them, but I'm the only one in the class who's that young and had no friends, and so she took a liking to me, I guess. And I'm grateful that my school had that program. They paired the graduating students with a teacher, and the idea was that you would meet once a week. It was a teacher mentorship program. Almost.
Yeah, you said that, like, that's crazy.
I mean, I think it's a combination of like the students maybe didn't want to meet the teachers, and the teachers weren't pushing it because they probably had a million other things to do, coaching classes, clubs and marketing and all that. Maybe I was too, it's like, okay, this is what we do. I didn't ask enough questions or judge it. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'm meeting her, and I got assigned her, which is great because maybe she picked me. I don't even know. It's probably, actually, if I think back of like students picking kids, she would probably pick me. It's not some random assignment, but yeah. And I mean, I had already finished all the highest level French classes by that point. I wasn't even taking French anymore because I already finished grade 12 French, like in grade 10. So she wasn't helping me with school. She wasn't helping me with the content of the material. Meeting her every week. I'd meet her once a week in the morning before class started, and she would just ask me about how things was going, and it just felt great. And I had my parents who always injected me with belief too, but for whatever reason, like being in the environment, having a teacher who kind of knew what I was going through really helped. So if I had that at grade 9, yeah, I mean, what a difference it would have made. I don't know how we. Obviously the more customized you can make it and the more belief you can inject in the students, the better results are going to get. I don't have the answer for how do you do that at scale.
Well, it's interesting because like statistics show that 75% of students who are mentored actually go on to graduate college or university. You don't exactly quote me on that right now because I don't remember. I was researching this last summer, and like there's so much importance on mentoring and mentoring programs, yet there are not a lot in most schools, or they wait until they make it optional, or they wait until it's high school or 12th grade. In the mentoring part of that. So I feel that mentoring is such an important part of helping young people and youth today, but there's very limited to that that exists right now. So if you could, as you were not making friends, if there's a young person today who's doing the same thing with you right now, like feeling the same, doesn't have a lot of friends, or feeling left out or struggling in school, what do you say to them? It's almost like it'd be like talking to your younger self, right? So what would you say to them?
Well, what I would say to them would be more just listening. Like, I think just be an ear, more than anything else, more than like they need a friend. So just be their friend. Ask them, hey, what do you want to do today? Play Minecraft? Cool. I wouldn't judge them and say, go do this. Like, let's go play Minecraft together. Let's go to the anime conference together or whatever. Let's do something to just listen and be with them. Is going to go a lot further than telling them, well, you should do X. What I would be looking for then is how can they find community through the thing that they love? So how do they, if it's a Minecraft club, if it's a volleyball club, we're looking to get some of our You know, it's a great example. My nephew wants to join volleyball. You know, he was on YouTube watching volleyball tournaments and stuff. He's now obsessed with the volleyball. Like, how did that happen? I didn't tell him volleyball. Nobody told him volleyball. He just found the video on volleyball. So now we're looking at how do we get him into a volleyball program? Like, what's the closest volleyball? When does the season start? How do we get him in? How do we practice? Am I going to now be
serving?
Like, playing? I mean, yeah, exactly. Like I used to play volleyball just in like gym class, but I'm not a volleyball expert. But all of a sudden now maybe we get into volleyball, and maybe in 3 months he doesn't care about it anymore, and now he cares about badminton or he cares about something completely different. Cool. Like, I think that's part of the experience. And so doing it with them, but then encouraging them to be a part of something that they can. Everything that is done solo can be done in groups. Like volleyball requires it is a team sport, but Minecraft, you can join servers, you can play with friends. One of the things that really helped him was doing Minecraft and Valorant and being on, like, he went from being really shy and introverted to then doing voice comms where you're on a call with the people who are on your team and building friendships and learning how to communicate and learning how to talk to people through the thing that he cares about, instead of forcing him into band class or something that he doesn't
actually Minecraft and Fortnite and all of that, because you could talk on there with them. You know, it was great for my like English language learners, because they would have to speak in English, because most of them that are there on there and want to play with speak English, so they had to. It was great. I was like, where are you practicing? They're like, Minecraft, Fortnite. I'm like, oh, good for you. Like, it was great.
Well, because it's the thing they care about. Like Tim Ferriss, who wrote The 4 Hour Workweek, had a great example we were talking about when he's trying to learn a new language. He really loves martial arts and wrestling and physical contact kind of sports. And so he'll join those groups and pick up those books around that style. So if he's trying to learn Chinese, he'll learn whatever the martial art is in China and try to pick that up. And it'll force him to learn the language because he cares about the thing, as opposed to picking up just a textbook on the words. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Like, you're trying to learn English and you care about Minecraft. It's actually fun, and you want to learn how do you say chop down that tree in English. Now you're actually curious about it, and you research it and you learn it, so you can apply it into your life. And that's where I think we get a lot of things wrong, is we tend to judge the actions. If you look at parents, and it's out of love for the most part, right? It's just they want you to succeed, but a lot of it, I think, in a 2022 environment is misguided, because the opportunities available to somebody who's, even me, I'm 42. The opportunities available to me at 42 compared to my parents at 42, it's just a completely different world. Like, you can make more money playing Minecraft now and making videos and winning tournaments than you can being a lawyer.
So true on that one. Last question, okay? And so I really want you to know, if you had to paint a picture in your mind, what does the ideal school or education look like?
I've struggled with this one. I don't have an answer. I haven't spent a huge amount of time really think tanking it. So I would almost flip the question. Like, I'm curious what you think, and maybe you can add that at the end. I think mentorship definitely plays a bigger role. I don't know how to scale it. I don't know if it requires having more people coming in, more parent volunteers, more. I think less just here's what you have to learn. Like, most of the stuff we learn is forgotten. Most of the stuff that you pick up is really just memorization to pass the test. And so it's not really training us to learn things that matter. And I think I struggle with this with my son and my nieces and nephews, where it's like, this is useless. Right. Like, I'm never going to use this, right? Why am I studying this? Yeah. You're right. I got nothing. It is useless. I don't use any of this. And the chance of you actually applying this is pretty much zero, but it's good building the discipline and the structure. Absolutely. So go do it. But it's not as strong a message. But yeah, definitely trying to figure out ways to teach kids how to learn. I think it's the most important than teaching them what to learn. Like, how to learn versus what to learn is huge. People can learn. Bill Gates had this great quote, which I've been playing with, and I'm going to kind of mess it up word for word, but the idea was you can learn a lot more when you're in community than trying to do it on your own. So even if college or university or the school system is not structured very well, the fact that you're doing it together really increases your ability to follow through, really drives up your likelihood of following through, which if I look at movement makers, it's what I'm trying to do, is that there's no set curriculum.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you guys want to talk about? What do you want me to talk about? Like, what's the theme for this session? Because I want to make content and have discussions on what you guys care about the most. And it's never a photocopy of what was 2 weeks ago or a month ago or 2 months ago. It's always like the latest of what I'm working on. But then the collaboration and connection between you guys as well, I think is important. I don't know that we even need, like, just thinking out loud now, brainstorming while you're here, like the fact that we even put people in groups based only on age is probably ridiculous.
Absolutely, because you have different levels, right? You kids are at different levels. They could be at one level in math or a different level at something else. And so, you know, okay, you're in 11th grade or 10th grade simply because you're, you know, this age, like it's almost absurd. So, yeah.
And different interests, like people care about. Honestly, I think if you look at the club system, I know different schools that have different clubs. If you look at life skills and actual value, kids probably. I'm going out on a limb on this one, but I would guess that kids get more value out of the clubs than they do out of the actual classes. So if I go to a chess club, and everybody there cares a lot about chess. And it's all sorts of ages because it's the entire school, but it's only the 80 people who care about chess. And I'm learning and I'm making connections and friendships and strategies, and I'm competing, but also playing with some of the people who are at similar levels to me, even if they're different age groups. I think that's probably the highest value. So now how do you replicate that out? And how do you create curriculum? It's not even curriculum. How do you create? It's, you know, I don't know what alternative schools are doing, but and how do you have mentors come in who actually are living their life? You know, like most guidance counselors don't like their own life, and so they're now giving guidance to other kids on how they should live their life. So I do a lot more community. Yeah. I do a lot more involvement. I do a lot more asking people to come in and speak. I do a lot more customization. I do a lot more mixing of interests and age groups. A lot more action as opposed to studying. Like, let's go out and build something, make something. Even in my 4th year university course on entrepreneurship, it was just about writing a business plan, and I was already running my business at the time. Like, go and create a company. Go do something. Go instead of just studying in a textbook, right? But all of that requires a completely different way of thinking about education. But I don't know how you do that at scale without it costing 1,000 times more. I'm sure there are ways.
I'm figuring out the scale part. However, everything else that you said, like for my online school that I have, like that's exactly what it is. Like, you know, kids are mixed in with each other, because why does it have to be just one level, grade level, or another level? You know, if I'm having all the kids, you know, read Built to Serve, then why do they have to be in a different classroom to read Built to Serve and to, you know, then to have that discussion around it and work together to do a project around it, right? And so when you think about it, it's about, you know, taking those, doing a podcast about, like, you know, or having, like, one of my students, she had to interview the guy that shot Archduke Francis Ferdinand, and she loves to do animation. So she was able to do an animation cartoon of her, because she doesn't like to be on, her herself doesn't like to be on camera, an animation of her introducing him, but she had to research the theory and why he did it and all that stuff. So her questions had to be based on that, and his answers had to be based on it. But she was able to do it in the form of a cartoon, which was pretty cool. That was high school. She was in 10th grade. She was in 10th grade when she did that. So, pretty cool.
I think that's a killer age. I think that's a great, I think, you know what, to add on to that then, I think you need strong ties into the community to then give people internship programs around the things that they care about. Because if you take this girl and she cares about animation and then she goes and does like, we're going to say, here's what I would love to say is like, hey, ignore French, ignore music class, ignore calculus, ignore history, unless it's like she loves history and Archduke Ferdinand. Like, ignore all the stuff that you don't care about, but you still have to, this is basically what my parents did for me. It's like, ignore all the stuff you don't care about, but you have to spend time on something that you do care about. And it's that push to go and study and learn and be great at the thing that you do care about. And so if it's animation for her, then she's going to graduate high school being kick-ass at animation and like 0 at everything else. Which, how do we set her up to then have success in life? Which would be, let's get her some kind of opportunity either to start her own business in animation or intern at an animation company who, when they hire her, will not care about her French mark or her trumpet mark, or like all they care about is can she do the job. And so if you're